The second mob for the Minecraft Live mob vote has been announced, the Rascal. So in this video, I'll tell you everything we know about this mob so far, and if the Rascal is a good mob to vote into the game. So the first thing we found out is that Rascals can be found in mines, although the video did not specify if those would be standard mines or abandoned mine shafts. Inside the video, the graphics did clearly show an abandoned mine shaft, so I'm assuming you will only find these inside of this structure, which I actually like quite a bit. Because something I've noticed is that a lot of these mob votes seem to have the theme of mobs generating within different structures. For instance, if the sniffer is added, that will generate in the ancient ruins, or the allay, when it was added, generates inside of pillager outposts and woodland mansions. So we would find these in the abandoned mine shaft, but not just any abandoned mine shaft. In fact, the video showed us specifically what kinds of abandoned mine shafts we would find it in. Any abandoned mine shaft that generates below Y0, because it says on the Minecraft Live article, these would generate at Y0 and below. And so of course any abandoned mine shaft that generates above that, you wouldn't find these rascals. And in terms of their appearance, they're actually rather strange looking mobs, almost looking sort of human-like, maybe like a goblin. It's quite a cool thing though that we would have a mob like that, although I'm not sure how much they honestly fit into the general theme of Minecraft's mobs. Even things like the allays didn't fit that much, so it'd be interesting to have another mob in the game that sort of sets a new style that we could have for mobs in the future. But the real question is, what would we get from the Rascal mob? Well, the Rascal would basically like to play hide and seek with the player. I'm assuming this would be somewhat of a game you could play, like maybe a mini game with this mob, and more or less if you catch it 3 times, it will give you a piece of treasure. Now that reminds me of how in Super Mario Galaxy you'd sometimes have to chase down and grab a certain character a couple times for them to give you an item, and that's exactly what the Rascal does, is it gives you an item. And so basically, if you do catch it 3 times, it will give you a certain piece of treasure. Now we're not sure what it is, and unlike let's say the sniffer, it's not a unique item, so the only unique thing we'd get out of the Rascal is just the mob. There'd be no additional loot as far as we know. However, of course, populating the abandoned mine shafts with the mob would be awesome. As of right now, I feel like the abandoned mine shafts are sort of a dead and not very interesting part of the game, and a lot of players have been wanting the abandoned mine shafts to be updated, even within let's say the update of 1.18, most people would have assumed that Mojang would update the structure, and I think that having an updated abandoned mineshaft with the Rascals in it would be an amazing way to make that more interesting. Now one other thing we know because of a leak by Roger Badgerman is that this is the second of 3 mobs. The third one is going to be the Tough Golem, but as well as that, we know there is a special skin that will be released for people that support the Rascal, and you can see that skin right there, sort of an interesting looking thing. And I really do find the Rascal quite an odd mob, just considering its appearance is somewhat human-like. It sort of has this weird cloak. Now to get us a better look at what the Rascal actually is, as of course all we have is a sort of pixely animation from Mojang, here is some concept art so we can get a good look at what this mob would potentially be like in the game. Of course right here you can see its unique color scheme, also its hood, and just the fact that overall this mob would sort of be hunched over, certainly portrayed as sort of the traditional hunched over traveler, with a strange sort of greenish skin to it. Very, very interesting to see that, and it'll be even more interesting to see if the mob looks exactly like this in game, and it's just interesting to get a more accurate idea of what this mob will look like. But overall I do love the idea of a mob that you sort of have to run around and chase, and yet it's not actually hostile. It just gives you some treasure, and hopefully the treasure could be something really good, like let's say maybe some diamonds. I know we did say in the video that there would be an enchanted iron pickaxe, but of course that's not a massive deal. Maybe even something awesome would be that the game would track your achievements, and based on where you are in the game, it would give you better and better loot, or if you're really early on in the game, it wouldn't, let's say, start off by giving you diamonds, maybe you just start off with some iron or something. But either way, that's everything we know about the Rascal mob. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe, as I'm going to cover all these mob votes as quickly as I possibly can. Also, we should get info on the Tough Golem tomorrow, and I'll make a video on that. If you want to know about the sniffer, I have a video on that, and I'll have that on the end screen here. I will see you in the next one, and have a great day. Goodbye.